there's a race to be able to offer 24/7 trading. My personal thought is it's inevitable. I think the MexDer view and the Grupo BMV view is that we're not going to be first to market on that. We're going to wait and see how it goes. We have too many other initiatives right now going on, but once we have those technology enhancements, then that becomes a possibility. In this case, the pioneers are going to be the big exchanges like CME Group and Eurex and SGX and B3. We'll be watching to see how that develops. There is an issue of fragmenting liquidity right now, with the different products right now, like the prediction markets and everything else. I have some concern that we need to move a little slower, but I don't know how you do that with all the momentum, just because there is a risk of fragmenting liquidity globally.
What MexDer initiatives are driving current demand?
Peso-dollar futures, it's really our flagship product. And as you know, the peso is one of the most actively traded currencies in the world. There are 4 exchanges that offer peso-dollar futures. Ours is unique because we quote ours in the traditional FX terms, the number of pesos per 1 US dollar. We've had some great success with it this year. We're up to 2 million contracts in open interest, which is 20 billion US dollar notional equivalent. And if you compare that relative to the other 3 exchanges, more than 75% of the open interest in terms of notional value is cleared by a Cigna, our clearinghouse right now. So it's pretty significant. It shows a great amount of liquidity, and confidence in our clearing and in the overall market. The other product where we're getting a lot of interest from proprietary trading firms and hedge funds is the IPC MexBull futures. The index itself is what most financial institutions and fund managers use to benchmark the overall Mexican equity market for local shares. We are approaching about 2,000 contracts traded a day. It's all electronic, and our open interest is approaching about 15,000 contracts. Everyone uses that contract to benchmark, how well the equity market is doing. Our third area where we're starting to develop a lot of traction is in the Mexican specific government bond futures. We made some recent changes, and one of the things that we did is, in the cash side, we set up a central counterparty clearing service for cash MBono securities last November, and we're going to be adding an additional clearing service for repos sometime in August or September of this year. That's significant because there's a lot of European interest in MBonos and cash MBonos. There's a lot of U.S. interest, with government bonds trading anywhere from 8.75% to 9.75%. It's a pretty attractive yield. We recently made some changes into our futures contracts so that we did away with the cheapest to deliver basket, because in Mexico, the local market trades specific bonds. We have 6 specific, bonds, and we also changed our settlement process so that if there isn't any trading in a specific bond, that it will align with the cash. Before, we had discrepancies where the future settled one place relative to the cash. So we've straightened that out.
Which product initiatives will put Mexico on the global derivatives map?
In the Mexican government bonds, and that we're building a clearinghouse for cash government bonds, and we're going to have a clearing central counterparty clearing service for repos. That's the big focus right now. We've also do trade single stock futures and individual equity options on local names, names that you might be familiar with, like America Mobile, Cemex, FEMSA, Coca-Cola, Walmex. We have 26 of those. They are all physically delivered. Our options are American, style options, so that it's mostly a call-around market, but we've got some very good liquidity, and we have a desk at MexDer that sources that liquidity and does an absolutely outstanding job. If you know anything about the Mexican Stock Exchange, it's really 2 stock exchanges. There's the local market of 130 shares, and then there's the global SIC market of 4,200 shares and ETFs from 28 different countries, 49 different exchanges, and they trade in peso. So we recently listed single stock futures and global individual equity options on Apple, Meta, NVIDIA, Netflix, and Tesla. And primarily for local investors who don't want to, have to go to the US, so they can buy those and trade those options or manage their risk in the global SIC market through those contracts.
How is MexDer partnering globally to improve market access and arbitrage opportunities?
What Grupo BMV did last year was enter, along with Standard & Poor's Dow Jones Indices, entered into a license agreement with the CME. So the CME actually lists an E-mini IPC equity index futures contract that trades. And it's really an extension because it allows global investors to be able to gauge on where the index is on Sunday night. That's one thing we've done in partnership with them. We also primarily work with vendors like TT and other front-end platforms that already offer automated spread tools. So, for example, to trade the peso in the CME, which is very liquid, by the way.
How is MexDer upgrading its technology to streamline trading?
Historically, we have employed our own in-house technology, post-trade, for clearing, for trade matching engine. Last year, we signed a contract with NASDAQ technology. So we're in the process of upgrading our post-trade, clearing, and execution. So some of the results of that are going to be, for example, right now we don't have the technology to offer short-dated options like on monthlies and weeklies and dailies. So with this initiative, we're going to be able to offer that. When we look at those individual equity options, both for the local market and for the global market, we think it's going to be tremendous because right now we only have quarterlies, so we only really see interest during that quarter, and then its volumes are pretty stagnant. The thing is that we're going to be able to facilitate seamless give-ups, which is very important to our foreign omnibus accounts. You have to have a physical presence in Mexico to be a clearing member firm. So 8 of the top US FCMs in terms of customer seg funds, they have foreign omnibus accounts with our 4 clearing member firms. We offer trading, it's MexDer trading membership for foreign firms that aren't in Mexico. So they can either be a broker or a proprietary trading firm, or they can be both under that same membership. So as a broker, you get the benefit of being able to have influence and a voice directly in the exchange. You also are able to participate with permission from your clearing member firm to participate in the local call-around market, which is very active, like in our foreign exchange and also our single stock futures and our individual equity options. For proprietary trading firms and also for brokers, we offer MexDer trading member firms a significant discount in market data costs. And market data is the biggest barrier to entry for a lot of firms to come into Mexico or any market. We offer it's a reduction of like 41,000 US dollars a year. If they become a MexDer trading member, it's like an 86% savings from getting the full depth real-time futures and options for MexDer. And if you're a proprietary trading firm, you can also participate in our liquidity provision program that pays up to $164,000 a year or $13,700 US dollar equivalent monthly for basically providing quotes without penalty or without minimum volume requirements.
How is MexDer attracting global participants?
Boils down to market data. I wear a market data hat for the exchange too, both for derivatives and for equities. We distribute our data through vendors and directly through a point of presence, a POP and Equinix data center in Secaucus, New York, and then also in co-location. Our co-location is in Mexico City. That's where our trade matching engines are. We have a number of global HFT firms that are already in co-location and are trading our equity market very actively. Not as many yet that are trading MexDer, but some are coming very close to it. Data is really the key. We make that available through vendors like Bloomberg, Reuters, ICE Data, TNS, Pico, Trading Technologies, basically all the vendors, and I hope I didn't leave any out, but all the vendors can redistribute our data.
Why is now the right time for global firms to engage with MexDer?
8.75% to 9.75% for Mexican government bonds. Equities, we're seeing record levels right now in our underlying index. Our peso contract, which there's a lot of confidence in the way we do our business in terms of quoting it in FX conventional terms. It's easy for people to understand, in terms of number of pesos per dollar. There's strong liquidity, there's strong confidence in the clearinghouse. And then we have this technology enhancement project that's going to be completed by the end of the first quarter next year, hopefully sooner. And that's going to make a big difference in terms of being able to have more flexibility in our product offering, as I discussed, with individual equity options and actually FX options and the equity index options too.